Last episode, I said that if you can price one bet, you can price 5. So let us price 5. Before any of that, a receipt, because a channel that keeps telling you to check your numbers should be seen checking 1. You have heard that 64% of features are rarely or never used. It gets attributed to the Standish Group, and it turns up in slide decks everywhere, usually with no citation under it. I went looking for the study. There is no study. It traces to one conference keynote in 2002 for internal applications, and no published methodology that anybody has ever produced. So that number goes in the bin, on air, and here is the one that replaces it. Pendo, in 2019, instrumented 615 software subscriptions and found 80% of features rarely or never used, 56% rare, 24% never. Now the caveat out loud, because the caveat is the point. Rare is defined there as the last 5% of usage volume, and a definition like that guarantees you a long tail. So the honest number is weaker than the famous one. It is also real, and it still says that most of what you build will not get used. Which brings back an exhibit you have already seen twice. This is the third appearance of the base rate table, so I am not going to reteach it, I am going to spend it. Microsoft, about a third of ideas work. Bing, 15% booking, Google Ads, and Netflix, roughly 10. Airbnb search, 8. The better optimized the product, the worse your hit rate gets. Now do the arithmetic. That table is actually 4. At 1 in 3, a single bet gives you a third. 5 independent bets give you around 87% odds of at least one winner. At 8%, one bet is 8, and 5 is 34. And independent is doing a lot of work in that sentence, so let us not hide it. Your 5 bets will not be independent, because they come out of the same head, in the same week, about the same product. Which is an argument for making them genuinely different rather than 5 flavors of one idea. That is the technique, and it has a name, the portfolio protocol. 3 rules. Run several small bets at once, each sized so that any one of them can die without a meeting. Write the selection criteria before any result exists. Then kill the losers visibly, on a date, with the reason written down. The middle rule carries the weight, and it is the one everybody skips. Criteria written after the results are not criteria. They are a justification for the thing you already wanted, and they are indistinguishable from good judgment, including to you. Last episode, and the one before it, this series pre-committed a kill and then priced a choice. The protocol is those 2 habits applied to several things at once, which is harder, because now the criteria have to be comparable. Same test set. Same measure. Same threshold. The moment you have to explain why one bet gets graded differently, you are not running a race, you are protecting a favorite. Now the industrial ceiling, and it reads at first like the counter-argument to all of this. Booking.com runs something like 25,000 experiments a year, and its employees launch them without asking management for permission. If you can test everything, why judge anything? Read it again. Somebody chose what was worth testing. Somebody defined the measure that decides. Somebody set the rule for when a test stops. That is not judgment abolished, it is judgment at industrial scale, moved off the loudest person in the room and into a protocol. Those experiments are not a substitute for deciding. They are what deciding looks like done properly. And here is what it looks like when it is not, because the failure mode is not starting too many things, it is killing them late. Take these as priors rather than news. Roughly 2 in 5 enterprises abandoning most of their AI initiatives, about half of proofs of concept scrapped before production, and the famous 95% getting 0 return, which is preliminary, interview-based, and counts official programs while staff at those same companies use these tools all day. Converging signal, never a fact. None of that is a portfolio. Those are backlogs that ran out of patience. A portfolio kills on a criterion. A backlog kills on exhaustion. Hence the ceremony, and it is not a joke. A kill that happens quietly gets remembered as a failure. So do it in the open. Name the bet, restate the criterion it missed, put the number beside it, say what you learned, and say where the code went. Archived, not buried. 2 minutes, in a meeting everybody is already sitting in. The reason this matters is social rather than technical. The first time somebody watches a kill go well, killing becomes a thing you are allowed to propose. Do it in private, and every kill reads as somebody losing an argument. So, the suggester. 5 bets is more than this thing needs, so we run 3. Last episode sent 2 weeks to retrieval grounding, and that work is in flight with a stated ceiling of 42 of 50 if it lands perfectly. These 3 sit alongside it, not instead of it. 3 prompt strategies, an afternoon each, all run over the harness from episode 7. Variant A puts 5 work drafts into the prompt, pulled from tickets outside the golden 50, because grading yourself on your own examples is not grading. Variant B is shorter and refuses when it is unsure. Variant C drafts, then checks its own draft against the policy list. Criteria, written before a single run, and this is where last episode's numbers earn their keep. The bar does not move. Acceptance at or above 62%, 0 Tier 1 Oracle violations, judge and human agreement at 90%, all 3 exactly where they were set. To those, 1 line the race needs and a single feature did not, no variant may cost more per draft than the one we already ship. And 1 commitment made while the results do not exist yet. At most one of the 3 carries into the finale. Not the best 2. 1. Leave yourself room to keep 2 and you will keep 3. Results. Variant B, 58%. It misses the bar, so it dies, and its learning outlives it, refusing removed for wrong drafts and cost 6 acceptable ones, because an agent would rather edit a wrong draft than face a blank box. Variant A, 66%, 0 Tier 1 violations, same cost per draft. It survives. Variant C scored 70%, the best number on the board, at roughly 3 times the cost and twice the latency. It dies on the cost line. That line existed before the run, and it is the only reason killing the winner was possible at all. So, the self-check, and it takes about 10 seconds. Count last month's kills. If the answer is 0, that is not prudence, it is a backlog with extra steps. The exercise. This week, start 3 small bets you can run on your own, write the criteria the same day you start them, put 1 date on all 3, and kill on that date whatever the criteria say. Nobody has to give you permission for that one. The artifact is the portfolio scorecard, linked below with this episode's receipts. And you will know it worked the first time you kill something that is genuinely working and nobody in the room treats it as a loss. Which leaves 1 feature, 1 number, and 1 verdict this series promised to execute. Next episode, the whole job.